and brought the deployment of 2 American carrier groups to the region. Well, for more on that, we're joined live now from California and the Stanford Law School by the Middle East expert Arash Aramesh. Thank you for joining us, Arash. This nuclear row has been going on for some time now, years in fact. Any sign then that these talks in Turkey will actually achieve anything?
After weeks of saber rattling by the Iranian government and some Iranian officials, finally they're coming back to the negotiating table, and that is a good sign. Back-breaking economic sanctions have really hit hard at home. I have spoken to a number of people on the ground and people here in Washington, D.C. in the United States, and people unanimously agree that these sanctions have had a terrible effect on the Iranian economy. That's number one. Mr. Ahmadinejad is on his way out in less than a year. And as the West has always made the mistake, he is not the principal decision maker on these issues. It is a supreme leader. And it seems that his front man, the man who's going to head the negotiations next, coming up soon in Istanbul, is showing signs that they're willing to compromise. Again, the economy is in bad shape, and the establishment in Tehran is very worried about what's happening around the region. Their allies in Syria and elsewhere are being threatened, and Iran is in a pretty shaky situation. So we got to see what happens. There needs to be a lot of trust building in the next few weeks, and there has to be some real effort to make some real compromise, such as a big compromise on nuclear and uranium enrichment, to go back to a lower level of enriched rate of uranium, or to agree that uranium would be enriched elsewhere. Again, we have to wait and see. This time, I'm a little more optimistic, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, will the fact that the US and Israel are keeping up the pressure help things, or perhaps hinder progress?
Well, US and Israel, very two different countries. US keeping up pressure and Israel keeping up pressure will have different results. U.S. beefing up its security apparatus and its military presence in the region is actually a good sign. Obviously, this is being done because of the Iran threat, but it's not just the Iran threat. I'd be very surprised if the Iranian establishment tried to take a preemptive conventional military strike against any U.S. allies or U.S. targets in the Persian Gulf region or in the Mideast. However, it's good to have sufficient and necessary and enough troops and military equipment and capabilities in the region, not just only for Iran, but also look at what's happening in Syria. Look at what's happening to the government of Libya, or lack thereof, the government of Libya. Look at what's happened in Bahrain and in eastern Saudi Arabia. So it's not, after our troops leaving Iraq, it's important to have sufficient troops in the region just in case. But again, it does put pressure on the back of the Iranian government to show them that the U.S. military, if, God forbid, but if it happens, has enough muscle to flex. But again, I commend President Obama on giving the diplomatic effort another chance, and to show that its sanctions have worked, and it's bringing back the Iranian government back to the negotiating table. And hopefully this time we'll get something out of it. First round in Istanbul, maybe the second round in Baghdad, and we'll see what happens with that.
OK, Arash Aramesh, we'll leave it there, and thank you very much. Now, British homeowners could be blocked from improving or repairing their homes unless they agree to spend extra money on making their property greener. Sky's Rhiannon Mills has the details at the news wall.
Well, the idea is if you want to make home improvements like replacing your windows,